Okay, so we were just talking about hunting season, which is coming to an end here in the area. A deer hunting season, right? You said ends.
I think it ended just this weekend.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Okay, so it ends this weekend, but I believe that bow hunting
continues.
This past week, bow hunting does continue. And on the line right now, we have Ron Rohrbaugh. Do I say that or Rohrbaugh? Do I have that right?
Yes, that's right, Ron Rohrbaugh.
And Ron, you're somewhat upstate local. Where are you from?
I live just south of Ithaca, so I'm in the Finger Lakes region.
Okay, all right. A beautiful region, by the way.
Yeah, we've got about 6 inches of snow on the ground this morning. It's looking really good here.
All right, so you have a book out which calls for the protection of hunting heritage and wild and public places to hunt and all of that. It's a big deal, near and dear to a lot of people here. A lot of hunters up here, as we're right near Remington Arms. And what's is there a fear that we're losing ground?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a movement afoot right now at the national level to privatize lots of federal public land. So think of national forests especially. And, here in New York, we have all sorts of public land. We have state-owned land. We have federally owned public land. And as you just said, those lands are near and dear to hunters and anglers' hearts. I mean, lots of us, if you're a hunter, you might be able to look back to your childhood and remember hunting with a grandparent, on a piece of public land somewhere, and those are pretty fond memories. I know for me, I have those memories on public land, and I also have memories on private land. And when I go back to those private land places now, they're Walmart parking lots and those sorts of things. And so, they're all gone.
Yeah.
And so public land is really precious to those of us who like to pursue the outdoors.
Why they are. And, there's nothing worse than a place that you used to be able to hunt, and then all of a sudden there's a posted sign there, and you can't hunt there anymore. And you always hear stories about that. And sometimes those are private stories, but it's that public land that I think is vast in New York, and to lose that would be a real problem. Yeah,
it is. And, there's this perception that hunting is actually declining, or the number of hunters are declining. And that's not true in New York State. If you look at, data from over the past 10 years, we actually see an increase in the number of people hunting and being interested in hunting. And the number one thing they cite that, keeps them from becoming more active or that they find frustrating is access to a place to hunt.
Yeah.
It's especially true for, getting a lot of people coming out of urban areas who are coming to hunting for different reasons than maybe some of us did. I mean, they're really focused on food, being able to go out and get wild organic food. And if they don't have a place to pursue that, that's tough. And it's a big deal for New York State. The state generates about $5 billion in revenue each year from hunting and fishing. That ranks third among all states.
And Ron, you mentioned statewide, and we just see it here. You totally see it when people are coming up here traveling. You see the out-of-state plates. It's big. It's a big industry here.
Yeah, it sure is. I think the state estimates that about 20% of that $5 billion actually comes from out-of-staters. So people coming from other states.
So if you're a hunter, you're an enthusiast, or even somebody who doesn't hunt, because you get a lot of support from people who are non-hunters. Just because it's you're right. There's history and there's tradition and
they don't want to hit the deer.
They don't want to hit the deer, right? And population control is another factor. But what can people do to help with this issue on protecting public land for hunters?
Yeah, I always say two things. One is that joining local groups is really important. So oftentimes there's if you live near a National Wildlife Refuge, there's like a friends group that's friends of that refuge that help out with things at the refuge. Or you could join a group like your local chapter of the National Wild Turkey Federation. So get involved locally. And then at the national level, I'm actually chair of the state chapter of a group called Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. And the website for that is backcountryhunters.org. And what Backcountry Hunters and Anglers is focused on is keeping public lands wild and open to hunting. Mm-hmm. So we're very protective of public lands, thinking about issues like energy development, privatization, all of those kinds of things. we're focused on fair chase, making sure that hunters are seen in a good light by non-hunters and I suppose even by anti-hunters.
Sure.
By making sure we're pursuing game in a fair way, and we're focused on kind of science-based decision-making as opposed to politically motivated decision-making when it comes to our public land.
And I do want to say that this is not just hunting, but it's also fishing too, right?
That's right, it is. I mean, fishing is that $5 billion estimate that in economic impact that I mentioned earlier. That includes fishing. Fishing is huge in New York State. I forget. I think there's more than 7,000 lakes within our state.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that ranks with other states, but it's got to be awfully high.
Just think of all those licensing fees that are generated here in New York from the people's ability to go out there and hunt and fish.
Yeah, and Ron, that's what I wanted to ask you. That $5 billion estimate, is that just off licenses and fees for hunters and for fishermen, or is that from they're selling the deer meat, et cetera?
Yeah, that's the whole kind of ball of wax. That includes travel, buying gas, staying in a hotel room,
buying guns,
food,
buying
traveling.
gear. Yeah, okay.
If you look just at license fees, I think the number is around $45 million.
Wow,
Okay. That's
think
still
about
a
that.
lot. Yeah.
All right, the book, A Traditional Bow Hunter's Path, Lessons and Adventures at Full Draw. And, of course, the cause is keeping the hunting and fishing lands and waters public for this to continue, the sport to continue here in New York State.
Absolutely, and if I can do some shameless self-promoting, you can buy that book at traditionalspiritoutdoors.com.
Okay, got it. Traditionalspiritoutdoors.com.
You got it.
All right, good stuff, Ron. Thanks for the time, and good luck out there. Happy hunting.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
Thanks.